please welcome to the stage here producer Guy Danella. Please welcome screenwriters Brian McKelvey and Nick Kocher, otherwise known as BriTANicK.
Woo!
So, okay, well, first of all, big congrats on South by Southwest. What was it like to have the film premiere there, get the kind of reaction you can only get at South by and to get the audience for it?
These guys had 2 premieres, so I'll let you guys check.
Yeah, we did. We had 2. Nick and I wrote and directed a film called Pizza Movie.
Woo!
It's on Hulu. Thank you so much.
That's statistically correct.
It's streaming.
I'm a big fan.
It's a great streaming movie.
Thanks. And then we had this the next day, and it was at the Paramount. It was explosive. It was a perfect South by Southwest movie.
Oh.
I mean, it was, I don't know, it was pretty surreal.
Our other movie, Pizza Movies, is a sort of stoner comedy. We watched that, and then we watched this 2 days in a row, and afterwards we're like, we have to write something normal.
This is
Write a family film or something.
What's going on there?
I will say that the part where Michael, Jason Segel's dad, shows up and it was a 1,000-person screening, and people were just screaming like kind of the entire time. Like it was a crazy sort of feeling because you're also like, you're missing all the nice nuanced jokes that these guys wrote too. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it literally was like a rock concert. It was literally the perfect venue. I would also like to say thank you for all coming to see it on the big screen.
Yeah, the real theater.
There's a lot of big movies. We understand there's literally a movie with a giant catwalk out there. That was probably the cost of our entire marketing budget. So I appreciate you guys showing up and having a good time. It's definitely meant to see with a group of people. And
I'm just going to say, you guys had the way better movie. Just saying.
Thank you.
So, that's true. It is.
Tell all your friends.
So first of all, I know this is based on an Norwegian film from 2021 called The Trip, but tell us about your point of entry with writing the screenplay, and how many sort of changes, rewrites, and everything you went through before we saw this one.
Good question.
Yeah, so we were brought in. Brian and I were brought in to do just sort of like a dialogue polish on it, and we ended up changing a little more than that. But we really were we were big fans of the original, and didn't want to change anything for the sake of changing it necessarily. We only wanted to maybe go further with a moment here, like make some. We're sort of like just doing our cover song version of it.
Yeah.
And the structure was like so great.
Yeah.
We really loved the structure. It was really mostly what we were changing was dialogue, character motivation, stuff like that.
Yeah, if anyone screenwriters are here, structure is the hardest part. It takes so long to figure out how to make the foundation of your movie work. And what happened? What was up there?
It's a photo of the cast.
Oh, right. There you go.
My mother was appalled. The whole movie, that's the only thing she called me about. She's like, I want to talk about the end. You're a father. Aren't you ashamed? I was like, which part? Like, I thought as soon as one of the 4 lines, she's like, the part. I was like, the part where we're giving everyone the middle finger? I thought it was just like kind of a laugh. But anyway, so that's more representative of my childhood than anything else.
Anyway, yeah, foundation already there, so it was really nice to be able to play within the details and the characters and the jokes, and it was just nice having something that was just the blueprint's there, and we get to build the building a little bit more.
But you see, the details, the devil is in the details here, because first time I saw it, I'm like, oh god, that was so fun, over the top, my kind of film, totally. The second time I saw it, oh, the lawnmower,
Right.
oh, the Kellogg cereal,
Yeah.
oh, the little eagle trophy, like everything that you sort of see pays off later or pays off before because of the structure. So how did you sort of get it down so people who do go back and see it again aren't going to go, wait a minute here, or they're going to go, wow, this is a freaking border type movie.
It's the type of thing that we love to write. If you also go watch Pizza Movie on Hulu, you'll see we love filling the first act with tons of little things that you kind of feel like throwaway jokes or something that then will play a major part of Act 3. It's like a very, very difficult thing to write, and it's very frustrating at times, but it's so satisfying when it works.
And you always want it to feel like it works on the A side and the B side. I mean, the cornflakes just feel like, yeah, the place is a mess. Those mice, my God. And then it's like, no, of course, the guy dropped. So it's like, it doesn't feel like just a random detail. And there's a bunch that we set up that just we didn't have the time or budget to do. I was talking about this when Jason gets like the stake through his hand at the end. Originally, remember the script where they were on a boat and then there's a spike on the boat and Jason like takes Timothy Oliphant's hand and does back to the spike and then he can take his own hand out because there's a hole in it and he dives off the boat and then the boat crashes into the house and it explodes or something. We were like, cool scene, right? And Guy was like, we don't have the money to do any of that. So, the stake through the hand is still there, which was a setup for a set piece that we did not have the money to actually do.
I would say that ending's a little bit even more layered, only because we wanted to do the explosion, we were going to set up for it, we were going to budget for it, and then it was actually when Jason Segel came on board, that was one of his he wanted a more sort of quiet, emotional sort of ending sort of there too, which it was, so again, that's even the collaboration that sort of balance too, that I thought, I'm like, because in your head, you're like, yes, let's go bigger, let's go harder for the remake. And it's like, actually, well, you don't want to lose the character emotion component there, too.
But in terms of like all the payoffs, for the first act to the third act, in between, really, I'm trying to think back like of another perfect example of a film that did that so well. And the answer, of course, is Back to the Future.
Oh,
sure.
Totally.
So we're basically Back to the Future.
Yes, thank you, yes. The two of us together, iconic films.
I mean, seriously, that's totally what I thought of when I was like sort of putting it all together. Anyway, but before we get into how Jason came on board, let's talk about finding the right director that's going to match the horror, the comedy, kick it up a notch, so people like are really, especially people who are like used to watching action movies over the top action movies, are still going to really have fun with it, really get what's going on.
I guess we've seen, specifically more Yorma's movie, MacGruber. I mean, there's like a lot of insane violence in that movie, but I think the interesting thing I'll go back a little bit further. The original filmmaker, Tommy Wirkola, the Norwegian filmmaker, I produced a film, Violent Night, with him for Universal. That's like Die Hard with a real Santa Claus, and then sequel's coming out in December.
Yeah.
Your calendar. But while we were on set for that, I basically sort of brought, I was like, well, what do you think about remaking his film, The Trip? And he was totally open to it. I mean, on my side, it's like a very lazy, mercenary kind of producer move of like, yeah, let's just remake a good movie and sort of like, and see if we can slap it together. But during that process, Tommy would constantly be quoting Yorma movies, Hot Rod, Pop Star, MacGruber, and it honestly started as that very novel thing. I was like, oh, well, let me have a general meeting with Yorma. We met, we got along, we're both high energy, sort of ADD people, and yeah. And then, but it was I just was like, hey man, this is like very simplistically, what do you think about kind of shifting that sort of dial a little bit? Go genre first with comedy as opposed to the other way around, because all of Tommy's films definitely are a genre with sort of a sense of humor. And yeah, Yorma, he was a little bit resistant on the remake at first, but then you watch the movie, you read the draft, and then he jumped right on. And again, he's the perfect person. I would say it'd be reductive to call him like a comedy director too, because I think he spent way more time focused on getting the drama right and the character work right than anything else. So I think he was literally the perfect guy for it. He's very.
That has to work. And also, when he came on, he took over that draft, the first draft that you had at the time. How did that collaboration work with you guys? How did that evolve?
I'd also like to compliment. I mean, it was basically a first draft. I mean, the first draft that got Yorma and all the cast, I would say, more or less. That sort of, and then we continued to work it.
You guys were antsy to go once we gave you that draft.
Yeah, we didn't really get. I mean, we wrote the first draft, and the producers were thrilled with it, and we're kind of like, we'll have maybe some tweaks, but we know the director will, so we think it's good enough to send out. And we were so excited when Yorma came on board because he's a massive influence on us, just with The Lonely Island, and we love MacGruber. And so it was great working with him. I mean, we wrote for SNL for 2 years, and we didn't overlap with him, but you share the
same war stories
into the same war.
Yeah.
And we had like an immediate comedy shorthand, and sometimes when you write a script that somebody else is going to direct, you have no idea if they're going to be able to nail your jokes or your sense of humor. We weren't worried about that at all because his sense of humor, we have the Venn diagram that is our sense of humor is like a circle.
Yeah, and he's you need someone who can play the jokes and also play the intensity. And it was like, we were nervous. We were like, what director we have to sort of like hold their hand to help them understand this joke we wrote, and like, because we're very visual and we have a very specific comedic voice. And was Yorma, like, he understood every single joke. We didn't have to help him at all with that. And then of course, like Guy said, he came in and like really played the reality of it, the darkness, the rawness. Like he could do both so well that it was a match. It was perfect.
Yeah, and then he'd even be like, what if we just like Jason lost 2 fingers in the lawnmower? But I think that again set up and pay off because I was like, it started more as like the violence, and then we're like, all right, well that'd be cool, but like, what if let's bring the fingers back, let's put the ring in the back, so it's like that's how again you nail it on the character level, and that sort of even that setup and payoff of just more what starts as a fun genre thing, let's find a way to bring it back to the character.
And Jason, obviously, as an actor, he's top notch, but also as a writer producer, 3 seasons is shrinking, and it's the best work of his career. So when he came on, how did that sort of give you a fresh approach, if anything even changed?
Oh yeah, Jason was very. There were certain, we'd written this first draft, and there were certain things that Jason actually liked more in the original. And was like, I'd rather go back to that version for certain things. And he was also like, but that being said, on set, we were only on set for like a week. We have a little cameo in the movie and helping out.
No, you guys open it. You kill that.
And it's he's so good, Jason. It's such a delight to similarly, you're scared when an actor is going to say the lines, like if it's going to sound right in their mouth or whatever. It was just like so wonderful.
Yeah, and also we didn't really have anyone in mind when we wrote it. In the original Norwegian film, it's more like a tougher action star kind of guy. So when Jason showed up, it was like, oh, putting this guy through the ringer is one really funny and sad at the same time. And Jason also knew he's like, I have such goodwill. Like everyone loves Jason Segel. So he knew that he could, the darkness in the character, you get away with a little bit more because it's Jason compared to certain other actors. So we didn't have to change the script, but it kind of added this layer to the character that was really cool.
I'll say there was even more jokes, and that was one of the last things Jake was like, all right, let's just keep as much of the sort of humor, but also find ways to continue to ground it. I think we pulled it down a notch or two than even where it was in that sense.
Well, also, this whole cast is great. Keith Jardine is awesome in this movie, but smart leading after the regular Knopf films, and Julia Lewis. Timothy Olyphant's he's a legend. You get this cast, it's awesome.
I've seen his name. Well, I'll make it shorter, but Nick's wife, Karen Gillan, also a very talented actress. She was attached originally, but then congratulations, they had a baby right after that too.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Our daughter cost Karen this job.
But she got a great EDM song out of it. It was in once. Basically, Jason came on with Karen, and then honestly, it was very fast. I have to actually say, agents did their job. They really got excited about it. I will say, because Tim was we got laser focused. I'm he would be fantastic and kind of take him back to Scream 2, kind of crazy villain energy. And he said no. So he passed. But then his agent was I'm going to talk to him again, which also sounded like complete agent bullshit. But he did. He actually literally talked him into it. And the first day we started shooting the boat stuff because it was dead of winter. We had to shoot that stuff first. And Tim definitely was these guys don't know what the fuck they're doing. But day 2, he was laughing, telling stories, he had a great time. And Juliet, I think, was even on before Tim. She jumped right in and said yes. And Yorma had worked with Keith, a very small kind of tough guy role on MacGruber, very typical of what Keith had been getting. But I think Yorma really believed in his comedy chops, and sort of so that was a bit of the roll of the dice. But again, you have faith in your filmmaker, and Keith just way over delivered that.
Timothy, Scream 2 was 1997. It's almost 30 years ago.
And I say Jason, because we were developing a different action idea he had, and I that was more of the sort of hey man, well in the meantime, would you read this smaller movie? And honestly, he said yes. Where he read it overnight, he said yes overnight. Talked to Yorma, and it was smooth sailing from there.
All right, where did you find this house?
Beautiful, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was you guys. You went scouting.
I said, yeah, well, you needed a house on a lake, and I think we tried to find it in the most cost-efficient shooting places in North America, couldn't find it. And then XYZ, the company I now work with and produce with, they had made a film in Finland, again, with Karen, and so I think there's how many lakes in Finland? There's 1,000. There's just so I think it kind of started as novel as that, and I think Norma went out there, we did the scout, and you kind of find the perfect place. So I think it's just you kind of roll the dice and go into the great unknown. But it definitely became like winter camp out there. It's like we all would go to the sauna together, we all had dinner, we had Thanksgiving together. I mean, it was special never.
Yeah, sauna is almost every day.
Oh,
The cast, the crew, it's the best.
So how did daylight play an issue, and what was the weather like?
We were just there for a week, and it was the weather. You got lucky because the snow came in like the perfect time, right?
The only time it could have snowed and not completely fuck that sort of continuity. But I thought it looked great. I mean, it was like great production value. And then again, we shot it like that's Jason Segel that's no AI face replacement. That was Jason in the water in the winter in Finland getting pulled behind a boat. And I'm like, so I think we got lucky. I mean, it was chilly, but never sort of too bad. You know, I think we got pretty lucky. But we started shooting a little bit too late. So we wanted all those pretty autumn leaves, but they were all dead by the time we started. So.
When I was watching the film, and I'm taking notes while I watch the movie, and the baby scene, fake out, was amazing. Because I believed her. Mm-hmm. And so Jason, what was like filming that? Because she, Samar's awesome.
I would say, I know for her, because in my head, and it sounds so simplistic, but I was like, oh yeah, but it's a fake out, so it's not hard for the actor, but she needed some space, because I think, honestly, she was she needed, as you said, she needed to sell it. This needed to be real for her as an actor to sort of go to that place. And so she really, took the proper amount of time and plays it straight. I mean, that's her delivering that as a dramatic sort of scene, which again, obviously you get the payoff later. But I mean, yeah, no, she put the work in and really had to clear herself away from everybody to come in and fucking crush it.
When you were filming in Finland, especially in Finland, were you guys there too, just in case things will come up, if you want to change a scene, if you want to experiment, try new things, did that happen?
Mostly during prep, it was a lot of Jorma was there and was looking at the location and being this is not the way we've done, these arrangement of scenes isn't going to work. We got to change this to this. And there was a lot of script change there. Once they got started shooting, I don't think there were barely anything.
There were a few bigger monologues that we really worked with Jorma for a while, just on a text thread. But yeah, Jorma would text us from set. But the thing about this movie, when you make lower budget films, and you have to modest budget films, you have to shoot pretty fast. So it's there's not much time to all gather around the monitor, talk for 30 minutes about what we can change. There's little things here and there, but you had to move. So it's luckily we had done our homework before we got there and just worked with Jorma for the months leading up. So it was great. But yeah, we were always on call, and he was always texting us random what could the keychain for the boat say? And it's I don't know.
Tell him what it says, because it's a joke that gets lost.
Yeah, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
Wakey.
Yeah, wakey.
Coming up.
Right.
So, watching the film, and I'm paying real close because of the details and all that, but also visually, I'm going no, that's no stunt person, that's Jason, that's no stunt woman, that's smart. How much sort of prep and training did they have to do? Because this is not just an emotional role, taxing role, physically one as well.
I thought that was super, because when Jason signed on, partially he wanted to do the action training. Partially why he signed on is because he wanted to be I'll get shit kicked out of me. He wanted to go through the full crucible, emotionally, physically, get destroyed. And so he did I have to give him credit. He did a lot of training. He brought his fiance to sort of, because she's has a dancing background, sort of set him up with a great stunt choreo sort of team in LA, and he worked his ass off. And we were shooting choreographed action scenes partially just so we get used to the rhythm, because part of the training is also taking a punch right. I think that's a hard thing to sort of even sell, and he'd really never done it before. But Samara does it clockwork. She's an insane sort of athlete, can do splits, all this sort of shit. So it's it was very easy sort of for her, but we sort of but Jason did a lot sort of at time. And then again, once we had the locations, we train on the locations, do the sort of stunt crew repeatedly. We had a boat on set that we sort of trained that last sequence a couple of times. We did it with Tim in LA, Samara, Jason. So again, it's as sloppy as it looks, I think, as it's intended to be, because they don't have a certain set of skills. It was very, very choreographed top to bottom too, which allowed us to go harder again and push it.
for Keith Jardine, the scene in his kitchen, you know, with the knives, you know, it's smart. He said, like how did that sort of play? How did you film that?
I think you had scripted that. Was
Yeah, that was
I mean, that specific moment, I remember we had scripted, like with a lot of the, I mean, we scripted like a lot of the action sequences, and then the stunt coordinators, you know, change and whatever, you know, you get into the space, and I think they were pretty true to what we wrote a lot of the time. I remember with that specific thing, we had her in the script that she just keeps running into the kitchen to like do it. Actually, maybe we did write it.
I think she goes back and forth, but then you guys just took the block.
It seemed funny to have her tiptoeing with the whole
What
watch.
do you guys use for, like, do you have a thing
That was a huge pain in the ass. Those are like, it's supposed to be like, they were they basically were half knives, because then you can do a blade extension on VFX. So she would sort of stab, and then there was going to be like, and they were going to stick on this sort of like magnetic sort of thing that was on Keith's back, but that like sort of worked and sort of didn't. So anyway, it was a little bit of a like back and forth, but Samara could really stab with a handle, and then would sort of throw it away. And then when we got on the Keith's side, we sort of magnetized all these sort of things. But yeah. No, I think it was always again setup and payoff. We always knew it was going to be the little statue that sort of we used to sort of kill him, and you know, then get our Dumbledore line in there. So.
I'd love to. You mentioned the visual effects. I mean, how much was like visual effects, and how much was like prosthetics and makeup, and like when you see the face and the head getting blown off and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's all real. Yeah. I think in a good way we were pretty committed to the idea of like let's go as much practical. And again, on a modestly budgeted movie when you don't have a lot of time, it took a lot of work, a lot of prep. It's sort of like when we had this great Steiner, a Norwegian psychopath who loves all that sort of stuff. So it became this great balance, because even, when you blow the head off, obviously that sort of, there's a good CG component of it, but that was a lot, like we set up watermelons on set, glue those up, so those sort of chunks, so there's a practical element there. He sort of half of his head was all plastic, was all practical. It was just he put a green sock over his head. So I think there's becomes this great combination, sort of back and forth. Because there's hundreds of VFX shots in there. We just try to fuse it again, sort of with the sort of practical sort of component of it all. Like shattering Juliet's leg. I mean, we had the dummy leg, all that sort of stuff. We built her foot, all those sort of fun things.
Getting your face shot off there. The scene with Timothy said, I guess there won't be a sequel. It felt kind of.
Yeah, there's some meta stuff in here.
A little bit of that.
Well, we kind of also dunk on streaming.
Yes.
I thought maybe this movie would be in streaming, making fun of ourselves, but now we're in the theaters. It feels mean a bit that we did that. But hey, you know what? But yes, there was obviously some meta stuff. Obviously, the ending of the film, and you got to fight for what you want. Films. I mean, we're talking about ourselves a little bit.
Actually, out.
Jorma called the favor in for Camille, and I have to say, like he flew in for 1 day from the U.S. to shoot that, and I mean, again, there's a credit to the stunt team, Sean Aiden, his whole sort of crew, but he came in for 1 day. We shot that in like half a day, and it was crazy, and we were doing double units, sort of like Jorma and the sort of A-list sort of cast, or the main cast, were shooting one part. It was a set, but it's not really a set. We're in a boat warehouse in the middle of nowhere, Finland, and then we were on the other set sort of shooting all that action with no cranes, nothing. It's basically like, a stunt guy operating camera standing on a chair to pretend he was a crane. But Camille was such a trooper, and we crushed it. It was like a short film contest. It was so much fun. So.
A lot of times, so at film festivals, South by, Sundance, no one's seeing the film until it premieres. Mm-hmm. There's no press screenings, there's no advances, you have no idea what the reaction's going to be. Like I said, this is like perfect for South by. What was it like to release it to the world at South by and have the reaction you did and get the award you got?
Crazy. I mean, we've never won anything in our lives, so it's wild to have it, And it was, but it, in the room when we screened it, it was like incredible.
It's a really from minute 2, you start realizing that this audience is really on board, and then once it started and just kept picking up, it was like you were on Molly or something. It was amazing.
We did a test screening in New Jersey with 300 people with a rough version of it, and that tested through the roof. So that was the first. I was like, oh, actually, we might actually, as insane as this movie is, it might actually be mainstream, and maybe we'll get in theaters. So it was that was the first sort of validation, because it played as well as it ended up playing at sort of South by in that regard. Once people die laughing at boat rocks, that's when you know you really have it. So,
Now that it's in theaters, so now that you've seen the movie and it's awesome, please keep it in theaters. Spread the word. Go on social media. Go on Facebook. Go on X if you want to. Knock yourself out. Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Spread the word about Over Your Dead Body. Fellas, big congrats. Thanks for
Thank you, guys.
Woo!